What's up, everyone? Today we are talking with Ty, who is another dropshipper I know from some Facebook groups, and that's about as much as I know. So we're going to talk about some different, like, what was the concept? It was
So we're gonna talk about whether it's actually possible to dropship without software, and I can share some of my experience
Yeah,
about how I dropship for months without software.
yeah. So you started out without using software.
Yes, so I
Okay.
pretty much started out with, I didn't even take a course. I just started out and I was just listing some products and I had no idea what I was doing because I didn't have any sort of guidance. I didn't even take David Wu's course. So I was just like doing my own thing
Yeah,
and like, but after I did it for months, I figured like, oh, I'm gonna need some sort of software, but then I
yeah,
still kept going without a software.
yeah,
But but because I've been through that, I was able to learn all of the challenges when it comes to canceling orders, and I was able to get used to it, so I don't have
yeah.
to like, oh yeah, I'm gonna die, I'm gonna I'm gonna
It's
have to
all
cancel orders.
over.
Yeah, because I ended up canceling like hundreds of orders or something,
Yeah,
like as out of stock, but then I would lie about it.
yeah, yeah,
So but like in the end, I didn't get so many negative feedback because of the way I handled it.
yeah.
And I wouldn't say I handled it in the best way, but it's not as bad as you guys would
You
think.
didn't just drop it and run. Some people do
Yeah.
that. They literally just get scared and then
Okay,
they just
that's
never
that's
log into their eBay account again. It's like, what? It's crazy. Yeah, I actually started off manually as well. I heard I was an existing eBay seller. I was selling Nintendo products, so I sold Nintendo 64 games, NES games, Pokemon games, all that kind of stuff, and I would buy them off Craigslist and then resell them on eBay. I wasn't making much money. It was just really fun, and I loved it. And I was able to play video games for free because I would play them while I had them and then sell them, and then play them and then sell them. It was great. But then I heard about drop shipping, and it was like, wait, I don't
Yeah.
need to pack anything. I don't need to clean it. I don't need to go drive out and buy it. I don't. There's like all these things that you don't need to do with drop
Yeah.
shipping. It's great. So I was doing the manual drop shipping thing as well, and I did that for like 7 or 8 months. And I had this concept in my head. I was like, no, it's better to do it by hand. Software is just not the same. It's just not as, yeah. Well, what do you think? Is it a good idea to not use software?
I mean, it's. I think in the long run, and if you want to do big numbers, you definitely need to do software. But
Yeah.
like if you're like new and everything, you have no idea what you're doing, and you're just like trying to get some understanding of what dropshipping is. Because what I'm thinking here is, or what I've been seeing so far with like all the members, all the community is like, oh, what software do you use? What software do I need? What do I need to do to make sure that I don't fail? What do I need to do to make sure that I'm profitable? It's like it's too much emphasis on software, but
Yeah.
really you don't need a software to start making sales, start making profit.
Yeah. Yeah. I think.
So I think like you really don't need it at first, but once you get into the game, you definitely need it.
Yeah. Yeah. And now, honestly, like the game's changed a lot in the past. Like, every year it changes, but there is
Yeah,
so much software available now. And for me,
yeah,
the thing is, when you're beginning, you have to think about setup costs and startup
hmm,
costs because those are going to be what deter people from using software. And it used to
yep,
be that there wasn't very many free options for people. Whereas now, like if you use something like DSM Tool, then as long as you have less than 50 listings, then you get the lister free and the repricing for free. Which is like,
mhm,
if it's free, why not use it? You know what I mean? Whereas in the past, I would agree with what you said that like manual
mhm,
listings can be a viable way to start learning because there weren't those free alternatives. But now, I honestly do think that using software is necessary, just because there is so much different software available. And I don't want anybody to think that there's like one best software, but like
yeah,
I know of at least 30 different directly drop shipping softwares. And that's not including all of the stuff I don't know about and all the stuff that's just sitting on people's computers only being used for personal things. Like multiple different people have shown me scripts that they've written and programs that they've written that auto order and do all sorts of stuff. And like I know now that there's tons of it out there, like tons. It's just a matter of figuring out what works for you.
yeah, definitely. And like you said, there's a lot more options now because before it was still kind of relatively new, and obviously you don't have much options right now.
Hmm.
Like definitely, if it's free, like if it's free, then you should definitely get it.
Yeah.
Because people, it's like when you pay even $1, you can get rid of like 1,000 other people because they
Yeah.
won't even want to pay all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can save so much time too. Tell me, do you follow Becky's channel, Broke to Boss Girl?
Well, I do follow, but I haven't really watched a lot of her videos.
Yeah, she at some point there's some lister. I can't remember the name of it, and I keep forgetting to look it up before I do a recording. But because whenever I tell people about software to get started, and I always recommend DSM Tool just because it is free for the first 50 listings. And the reality is most people are never going to post more than 50 listings. They're going to post like 3 listings, and then they're going to be like, why am I not rich yet? What is happening? What's wrong?
Yeah.
Forget this. Dropshipping is lame. Dropshipping is stupid. So at least they can do that without spending any money now, right? But there is another software that Becky's switching from that has the same pricing format. So as your store is bigger, it costs more, but at the very beginning, it's free and you get a repricer. But I don't remember the name, so I was wondering if you knew the name.
I have no idea.
No, oh man, it's like some phrase.
I think she might have told me, but like I forgot about it. Like
Yeah.
I chatted with her and she was like, "Oh, I'm looking into this software," but then I don't know.
Okay, well, if you're watching this and you're looking for good beginner software and you don't want to use DSM Tool, then check out Becky's channel and look at her videos and figure out what she's using, because the software that she's using I know does have some kind of free option that includes repricer. And that's the different thing, is that when you start, there's a lot of free options that don't include any repricing. So having some repricing that's looking at your out of stocks and managing that is going to be pretty helpful, especially if it's free.
And so like here's the other thing I want to add into that. Like when I started with no software, like I was such lazy. I didn't even want to check my items. I just list it, and whenever I would get an out of stock, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna
take it
cancel.
down.
Like it's not like I wasn't like even trying to monitor it. Like I was just like, I'm ready. If it's out of stock,
Yeah.
I'm gonna know how to cancel. I'm gonna know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing. Like if you're doing everything manually, you're gonna learn how to deal with it. Because
That's
no
true.
matter what, if you have the perfect software, we obviously cannot get rid of out of stock. So prevent all of the issues.
Yeah.
So by doing that, I was able to prepare myself, and eventually making sure that all my orders are good to go. Like I haven't had an out of stock in like a month, but that's
really
because
good.
I haven't worked on my store at all. Like I'm still getting sales. My sales are still increasing, which is crazy. But like it's a much better. I'm in a much better situation because
Yeah.
I was prepared for that moment.
And that's one thing that a lot of people don't realize, is that like the kinds of items that you post and the way that you run your business is going to determine what kind of problems you have to deal with. And
Yes.
it's possible to earn like a couple $1,000s but also have 10 hours of work a day. It's also possible to earn a couple $1,000s and only have like 3 hours of work a day, depending on how you do things and how efficient you get at creating systems to fix the problems.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to determine how much time you spend. And it definitely is about just learning all of the potential things that can go wrong and understanding them and having the experience of already dealt with them in the past. So it's just another day. You know what I mean?
And like here's the other thing with like the out of stock, when you have like when you're using a software and you're still getting problems, what you could do is, as a suggestion is, instead of putting every single items in there, you can just put the items that sell occasionally and then take out the items that are hot selling and then just manually check those yourself.
Yeah.
Because just checking hot item is going to be doable, because obviously out of 100,000 items, you're not going to have
Yeah, you're not checking all 100,000 items.
that are
Yeah.
hot. So you're going to probably have like 1,000 out of 100,000, and then that's more doable.
Yeah.
And by then you should have some sort of VA team and take less stress off you.
Yeah. When people used to the way they got around the out of stock thing was by they would hire VAs to just look at the items all day. There would be a spreadsheet and like, all right, you got to check all of these items each day. And it's really interesting how things have changed now. And I've learned a lot about like whether you get out of stocks or not. Like the price of your item has a big effect on the rate of out of stocks and repricing problems that you have. And I completely changed the format of my business so that I'm only posting items that cost me between like $10 and $35 on Walmart. So I only post items that I pay free shipping for. What I found is that PayPal likes this way more because the transaction amounts are smaller and much more predictable. So I was able to get my rolling reserve completely removed. And now I have like completely unlimited PayPal account, like it should be, right? And then also my return rate went down from like 10% to like 5.6%. I get less cases. I haven't had, in the 2 months that I've been operating like this, I haven't had a single chargeback. Whereas when I was operating with raw bulk last year, like some of my sales were $400, $500, $600, and like what happens is that most of those are people actually buying. Like they're not fraud; they're people actually paying for them. But then they don't have much money. They go look over their credit card history, and it's this thing called cognitive dissonance. You know, it's like, okay, there's a 600 transaction here. My brain can either remember that I actually did place that order, or it can be like, wait a second, I didn't do that. That's not me. I want my money back. And then it's when you have transactions that are that big, it's just much, much, much more incentivizing to do chargebacks and to do return cases, and because they're literally getting paid that money to return the item, right? Whereas when you have $20, $30, $40 sales, not so true.
And like whenever you're getting stuck with dropshipping, like, and you like everybody like wants to sell high ticket items because, oh, I make more profit and everything, but like you gotta understand, like if you like, I used to flip $1,000 laptops and like that worked really well, but then I was thinking, like, I had one return and I had like $2,000 stuck up.
Yeah.
So like if you're selling $1,000 item and you get one return, you PayPal's gonna hold your money, and then you're gonna
need
have
a lot
to
of cash
wait.
flow.
Yeah, and you're gonna have to wait to get the item back and return it before Amazon or whatever returns your money. So that's like twice the amount that you have to prepare.
Yeah.
And if you don't have that and you end up with a bunch of those returns, you know, you can be screwed in an instant.
Yeah. And if your PayPal account goes negative or anything like that, then that like gets marked against you, and that increases the chance that you're gonna get a rolling reserve or a withholding limit or anything like that.
And yeah, and for me, you know, like I haven't had any sort of rolling reserve. I think like rolling reserve is like for PayPal is like for international buyers. Would you agree with that?
It's more common, yeah, definitely. Yeah. But really, it's just if PayPal views what you're doing as high risk, then they'll place a rolling reserve on you or a withholding limit. Withholding limits, I think, are usually when they think you're growing too quickly, whereas rolling reserves are specific to when they consider you high risk. I had a 5% rolling reserve, so 5% of all money I received would be put on hold for 90 days. And so when you get a rolling reserve, it sucks for the first 90 days, but after that, yeah, your money's being put on hold, but it's also being released from the previous 90 days. So it's not the end of the world. But after 6 months, I was able to get it reviewed, and then they just completely removed it.
Yes. So like, you know, if you're gonna be drop shipping on eBay, if you look at the trend, as Jack been saying, it's getting harder. It's definitely not getting easier, because in the end, it's all about the buyer experience. And I watched one of your video and you talked about the order defect rates, right?
Yeah.
And it was kind of insane, where you're like, oh, it's 2%. And then I commented, Amazon has 1%.
Yeah.
And so like,
well, with
like
Amazon, that makes more sense because Amazon doesn't allow drop shipping openly. Like when you actually are physically selling things, it's way easier to keep a low defect rate. When you're drop shipping, not so much. It's much harder to keep a low defect rate. And so eBay endorses drop shipping. So, you know, it makes sense that they have a higher one, but yeah.
We have to just lie and figure out the workaround for this.
Yeah.
Because if we're being honest, like right now I have I'm gonna talk about my stats right now. So I have 900, no, not 900. I have, I do. I have 999 transactions.
Hey, almost 1,000.
And I have 0% defect rate.
Yeah.
And obviously that's not true.
Yeah.
But I've been able to get away with it, and you know.
Yeah, I think you don't necessarily have to lie. You just have to know the rules really well and not admit completely. And so there's a bunch of different ways that you can handle out of stocks now. And I used to have a 0% defect rate as well, but what I learned is that when you're bigger, they could look at your account and just be like, okay, how does he have, that doesn't make sense. There's no way he's selling thousands of items and never has a single problem, like, you know. So now what I do is that one of the things is that I will sometimes cancel out of stock. This is something that you should never do as a beginner. The only reason I can do this is because, like, if I cancel 5 out of stock orders a month, my defect rate is like 0.6 or something. So, you know, it's still not 2%. And I don't get punished for that in any way, as long as it doesn't reach 2%. But the main thing I do now is I actually, anytime something goes wrong, and if it's out of stock, I message the buyer and say they order a $40 item. Then I'll be like, hey, I have made a mistake with this listing and I can't send this out at the moment. To make up for that, I would like to offer you any item in my store for $60 or less, because then it's like, oh, I'm giving them an upgrade. But the reality is they never do that, and they always ask for the full refund. But to them, and also to eBay when they look at your messages, to them it's like, okay, you are actually offering them a reasonable alternative. You're going to take a hit because you provided them with a bad experience and you're trying to make up for it. And eBay really, really likes that when you at least communicate with the buyer and give them that option. And that's something I've learned from talking to Anchor Store support reps, is that, like, if you ever try and close a case, even if it's in your favor, but you never message the buyer, eBay is going to be like you should talk to them. You should work with them, right? But if you've worked with them, you've sent messages, and then you go to close the case in your favor, they're going to be like, all right, cool, you're doing good. So it's really about just, like, the experience you give the buyer.
Yeah, and as long as eBay sees that you've made the attempt to communicate.
Yeah.
The eBay support is like, I have experience with that. I've called them multiple times, right? And so like they're trying to help you. It's not like, oh, they're gonna try to shut you down. Like that's not what people think.
Yeah.
Like people think, oh, eBay sucks. They're trying to get me out or something. But like in the end, if they see you trying, they're gonna be willing to help you.
Yeah, I can't even describe how many times people message me, and I'm like, don't message me, call eBay. Call eBay. And they're like, no, but I'm drop shipping. They're going to figure it out. And I'm like, oh my God, you have to talk to the platform. Like, you have to communicate. It's frustrating.
Yeah. And yes, when I asked for a limit increase, they asked me what I did, and I straight up told them drop shipping, and they're like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And like, they had no saying. The only time that they will be like, all right, this guy's doing bad is if you're below standard, you're doing pretty bad.
Yeah, if you've gotten bad feedback recently. When it comes to getting limit increases, the funny thing is it's more about your charisma and confidence than anything else. Like, if you sound so confident that you throw the rep off, they'll give you a limit increase. Like, there was one time where I had an account, this was a stealth account, and I hadn't had a single sale on it yet. And I called to try and get a limit increase. And I think I did actually get the limit increase, but I think the only reason I got the limit increase is because at the beginning, I asked the rep if I could record the conversation because I run a YouTube channel. And then she was like, let me talk to someone real quick. And then came back and she was like, unfortunately, I can't give you permission to do that. And so, of course, I'm recording the whole time, and I'm just like, okay, I won't do it, but it's on YouTube, so, but I think that threw her off, and then she felt a little okay, and then she gave me the limit increase, even though I'd never gotten a single sale on the account. So it's definitely doable. It's just like you being confident and really sounding like you have a plan and that you're being honest with them. It really goes a long way. And obviously, actually having, like, if you only have 5% of your account limits used, getting a limit increase is probably not going to happen. But if you have 95% of your account used, even though all your items are set to a 40 default quantity, you're probably going to get one,
Yeah, that's what I did. Like, when I was starting and I wanted my limits to increase, even though I didn't need them, I was just like, all right, I just want to increase it. I would artificially max it out, and they wouldn't even look at it and be like, oh, hey, your limit looks like you're almost max.
Yeah.
I'll give you the increase.
And what's funny is I used to think that was like a kind of sketchy workaround, but I understand now that is actually viable in eBay's eyes. As long as you tell them, hey, I want to up my default quantity because then I can stand out from my competition because most other people only sell one thing. So I want people to be able to buy 5 or 10 from me. And that is completely viable in their eyes, at least when I've communicated to reps about that. And that's what I'll usually do when I'm trying to get a limit increase on a smaller account. But now don't really need limit increases anymore.
Yeah, at a certain point, like, limit increase is not really the problem, guys. Just don't think that. Yeah. So, like, what was I saying? I was gonna say something. Well, so I want to ask you a question. So do you plan on drop shipping on Amazon?
No.
Why do you say that?
Because, like, the reason I got into drop shipping is so that I can enrich my life, so that I can develop video games and work on, like, I knew that if I can get my finances covered in as little time spent as possible, then I would be able to make amazing video games and meet with people. And also YouTube is my thing. Like I love YouTube, and I'm a YouTuber who uses dropshipping to make content for my YouTube channel. I don't want to dropship all the time. Dropshipping's not thrilling and satisfying. I'm passionate about it because it enables me to have the life that I want and to be free. But ultimately, like, especially with bulk, just got like, have you seen the spring seller update?
Yeah. I read about it. It's like the new enterprise story.
Imagine if your operating costs were $5,000 and then eBay made an announcement that will reduce those operating costs to $2,500. It's like it's huge. My operating costs get cut almost in half, and it's for the exact same amount of work and the exact same business model, just much more profitable. So that's really, really, really exciting for me, because now I've gotten to a point where I've developed bulk enough that I work like, between 1 and 3 hours a day, depending on the workload, and if there's like more problems than usual. But because I didn't scale up recklessly, I understood, okay, if I scale up the wrong kinds of items, I could screw myself and just have tons of problems, right? But if I make a filter that eliminates all of these problems and then scale that up, then it can be relatively clean. And I get like 1 out of stock for every 30 orders. It's very routine. There's not very many problems, and the problems that do come up are really predictable, and I can close them with return cases and tracking numbers and all that kind of stuff. But now it's great because this means that I'll be able to do bulk and earn between like $2,000 and $4,000 a month, and that's not including YouTube and the course. There's no reason for me to do anything else. I don't want more money. I want more like video game development. I want more community stuff. I want more YouTube videos. I want more of that. So that's why I have no interest in Amazon dropshipping.
But wouldn't you get more content with Amazon dropshipping?
Yeah, but it's not like I used to be worried about keeping up with content because I make daily videos, but like there's always more stuff to make videos about, like always. And also because people don't, like 98% of the people who watch YouTube channels don't watch every video the channel's ever made. They just watch the more recent ones. So like you definitely like okay, for example, recently people have been asking me about eBay GSP, and like I have done like 10 videos specifically about eBay GSP, and they're all like, nothing's changed. It's all the same information. Like the reality is most people judge eBay GSP. They think it's going to produce problems, but as long as you're not selling really expensive items and electronics, then it's just going to bring you more business. It's really, really worth doing. And now I need to make more GSP videos, even though it's the same stuff I've talked about, but people don't watch all my old videos. They watch more recent ones. So, that's just how it works.
And you have like hundreds of videos, right? So
yeah, I have 700 videos. Yeah. And well, okay.
Yeah, so like
some of those are video games though, like because I do Let's Plays as well. So I publish one video per day about like drop shipping or my life or just like chatting about something, and then also one Let's Play per day.
Yeah, so like I started my YouTube channel, so I have like 4 or 5 videos. So it's still pretty new, but yeah, I think it's gonna be fun, and I'm gonna be able to have a lot more opportunities. Yeah. And I did watch one of your videos that you talked about, like, all of these opportunities for YouTube, all these connections I got to make. I was like, all right, I think I want to do this.
Yeah, YouTube, like, okay, I like drop shipping, but if I have to be honest about, like, if someone wants to change their life, doing YouTube videos is a much more surefire way to do it than dropshipping. Just because dropshipping, like, you have to have the foresight to be able to see the freedom it can allow you and do the work. Whereas with YouTube, you can take what you're already passionate about that you were going to do anyway and just make videos about the stuff you were going to do anyway, which isn't that much more work. And that's the kind of premise behind why my YouTube channel started. And it, like, so many things, like, I was able to completely change my life and quit my job despite the fact that I wasn't making much money dropshipping, which goes completely against what you would expect. You would think that, okay, if you're dropshipping, you have to earn a bunch of money to change your life. But the reality is that, like, my videos dropshipping led to me meeting people and getting invited to events and participating in things. And, like, now I've met multiple people who earn more than $100,000 a month. And, like, it's not a matter of if it's possible. It's just, are you going to find the information and apply it? Like, It's crazy. Like, we live in an amazing time. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah. And like it's like perseverance as well, because when I started dropshipping, I wanted to give up too. And I'm glad I didn't. Like I got my first negative feedback and I'm like,
it's over.
screw this. And I was literally like stressing out so much because I got that first negative feedback. I'm like, oh, I have 100% positive feedback, 1 negative feedback. Oh no, it's so bad.
Yeah.
But you know, I was able to, you know, come back and get it through.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that most people cannot do, because just one failure, one mistake is like over. And the bigger rewards is at the end, like when you are after you're in your first year.
Yeah.
And if you can stick through the first year, you know, like you're gonna be able to like make so much money with dropshipping.
Yeah. And that's what I tell people. It's not, people obsess about profit and earning money at the beginning. And it's funny because like that isn't what actually leads to success. What leads to success isn't how much money you make. It's your ability to integrate dropshipping into your daily routine. If you do dropshipping on a regular basis, you inevitably will figure out how to earn money because you won't give up. But if you obsess about earning money, and even say that you get lucky, and when you first start, you earn like $1,000 in your first month, that second month, you're going to feel real shitty because it's not going to happen again. Like, you know what I mean? Like, unless you understand all of the variables that led to that situation happening, then you're at the whim of happen chance and luck, right? But you want to be able to understand the systems and be able to get them to produce the results that you want. And the only way to get to that point is by learning as much as possible over a long period of time.
Oh yeah, like it took me, you know, like the sales tax and the stuff. Like it took me, like I had no idea what I was doing in sales tax.
Yeah.
And so like, it took me a few months to figure that out. And then like I'm almost dropshipping for a year now. Like probably 2 more months, and then I'll be 1 year dropshipping.
Yeah.
So, and I still feel like I'm still missing some tiny pieces, even though I did tons of researches, I read tons of articles. I've talked to a lot of people trying to get answers to just drop shipping things. So it's like a long time journey. It's not.
Yeah. And there's always things to keep improving, like always more to improve. Until like it does get to a point where you have a system, but the reality is that once you have an established system, that system will eventually become less profitable. And like, so unless you have to have some way to stay ahead of other people. And that's one of the reasons that I've always been fascinated by bulk, is because most other dropshippers rely on other people producing sales in the first place. And then they do sales research to figure out what's selling and will only post what's selling, or they snipe and they will only post what other people have sold. And that accounts for not all, but the majority of dropshippers do that. They look for existing sales to figure out what they should be selling. Whereas with bulk and what I do, I try and get those items to sell in the first place and then move on, so that, you know, the snipers can, it's basically like feeding all of them, because that model will last longer. Because I don't rely on other people producing sales to produce sales. I produce sales, and then other people will copy them over time. You know what I mean? So it's like you want to be aware of what place you hold in the food chain. You know, but
yeah, that's important. And you know, like if you have a system and it's been working, you know, if you just get too comfortable with it, you know, eventually it can just fall, and then you're gonna be like, oh, what happened?
Yeah,
you won't have any idea.
Yeah, you have to always find ways to stay ahead, especially because there's more and more people drop shipping. I don't think it's ever gonna not be like it's ever gonna not be a thing. Like, you're always gonna be able to make money drop shipping, but you're gonna have to become increasingly better at doing things that other people don't do and staying ahead of the competition. That aspect is gonna become harder and harder and harder.
It's just gonna keep. It's the barrier to entry is just gonna continue to increase. And if you're not ready for it, you're not ready for it.
Yeah, it's mostly about being mentally ready. So tell me, where are you based in? Like, I don't know anything about you aside from your name, and I recognize you from
I'm based
Facebook
in the
groups.
United States. I'm from Vietnam, but I moved here into the United States in like 2008. So
cool.
So it's a lot of opportunity in the United States.
Yeah. The United States is interesting because it's like there's a lot of good things, but then also some not so great things. Like one of my friends here, her friend just is visiting the United States on a visa, and she got in an accident, and is now $25,000 in debt. And it's like, okay, $25,000 is a lot of money for a United States citizen. For a Nicaraguan, like,
Oh, God.
holy crap, that's loads of money. That is, like, that's more money than some people earn here in their whole life. Like, it's crazy, you know? And on one hand, there's tons of opportunity in the States, but at the same time, there's a lot of drawbacks as well, you know? So I personally, like, I'm moving back to the States. I miss it, and I want to be there. But, you know, my family has been kind of screwed. My father died when I was little, and my mom went into over $100,000 of medical debt for medicine that didn't even save his life. You know, and, like, that doesn't happen in other countries. That happens in the United States, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy.
And the debt problem in the United States is just like crazy, and like especially like college debt. It's the generations is just gonna end up in more debt and more debt.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be really hard to dig yourself out, especially when you're raised to believe that college is the only
It's
way.
necessary. Yeah, exactly. And, like, it's funny too now because, like, most of us were raised, our parents raised us to exist in a world that existed when our parents were kids. So there's a delay, right? And it is true that there was a point where a college degree was absolutely the thing that would bring you the most opportunity. But that was before the internet had developed to the way it is. Like, now, access to information is so easy. Like, you can make more money working for yourself from a laptop than you can with a college degree job if you apply yourself. And talk about a college degree, like 4 years and paying up to $100,000. And people give me crap for possibly not making any money with bulk at the beginning. Yet people are dropping $100,000 over 4 years to get a degree, to get a job. And it's just like, it's so crazy, you know? It's absurd.
Yeah, I mean, I took some risks with my life as well, because I'm still young, and you know, I was raised like most other Asian kids, expected by parents to go to school, get good grades, and get good college. Like, I was not raised to be an entrepreneur. I was not raised to start an e-commerce business. I was not raised to do any of this, right? I had to, you know, step out of my comfort zone, or whatever I'm used to doing, or whatever my parents wanted me to do, and just do what I wanted to do, because I was in school, you know, I didn't really give a crap. Like, I was just going there just to make my parents happy. That didn't make me happy. And that's a problem with people. Like, they're just doing stuff and they don't even know that they're doing it for themselves or their parents or who they're doing it for. It's lost. So you have to get that point where you have to take care of yourself and do what you want to do, because in the end it's about you. Even though you don't want to make your parents sad, but if you do what you gotta do, eventually they'll be happy for you.
Yeah, especially if, you know, you're happy and earning a lot of money, then eventually they'll be like, okay, all right, this is pretty
that's
cool.
The thing, like, the end goal of college. What was the end goal of college? To get a degree, get a job, and make money. Making money is the end goal. So why not cut all the BS and just get straight to making money?
Yeah.
And you already are ahead of 90% of the population.
Yeah, that's kind of, so I got kicked out of high school and kicked out of college. Which I won't go too much into that. But I didn't get, like, I got evicted from my dorm. So I didn't get in any legal trouble or in any trouble with the school. It was just with housing I got evicted from. And so that kind of ruined a bit of my faith in schooling in general. But I was going somewhere with this. And so I kind of, like, right after high school, because I got into college a year early and then left after a year. So at 19 I was done with college, and I was just got to figure out my own stuff. And what I observed is that back then my life was much worse than most of my peers. I had very little. I was really, really struggling. I was really poor. I didn't have access to good food, that kind of thing. But because I applied myself and worked on things and stuck to it and didn't give up, now I have a life where, like, I know exactly what makes me happy. I know exactly what I want to do. I have a network of people. I've met amazing people who've changed my life. I can change the lives of other people. And a lot of my peers who had great lives when my life was crappy now are struggling because they're not happy, and they're realizing what you've just been talking about, that they've been living their lives for other people. And it's interesting how it kind of, the scales flip, you know?
Yeah, it's like you can like you can enjoy your life right now and just party everything, but then like once a problem comes into you, everything else is just gonna fall down together.
Yeah.
And so like, you know, I'm really sacrificing my time and everything to, you know, get this job shipping, make money online, so that way, you know, in the future I have more freedom and be able to do what I want.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely great stuff. Great stuff. Is there anything else you want to chat about?
Yeah, I think we're good.
Cool. That's definitely. I'm excited. So, what, if you don't mind sharing, what part of the states are you in? Because I'm coming back to the
California.
States. Ah, you're in California.
California.
Damn.
Yeah.
I'm moving to Wheeling, kind of. So near Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh. What state is that?
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Pittsburgh is one of
That's-
the like major U.S. cities.
Yeah, like California is one of the biggest states.
Yeah.
Like, I think a lot of entrepreneurs are in California as
Yeah.
well. So
Yeah,
it's insane.
California has open-minded kind of entrepreneurial reputation. Out of all the states, it's definitely one of the ones that is. I'd say I like Californians more than other people.
Yeah, it's like very, very, it's very diverse. You don't have to. There's a lot of different types of people here, especially,
Yeah.
and a lot of Asian people, a lot of Hispanic, and all of the other people there.
That's one thing I miss about. I used to live in Northern Virginia, right close to Washington D.C., but it was great because the area that I lived, like you had Annandale, which is a Korean town. Like most of the people there are Korean, and then you have Herndon. Most of the people there are Latino, and then you have like all these other races, and they're all converging. And like any food that you want, there is a grocery store, not like a little small grocery store, like a huge Walmart Supercenter size grocery store of Korean food, of Indian food, of other things. And like the access to different cultures there was just, it was so amazing. And I loved that, like, I could go to a grocery store in the States and there would be a huge fish market, and I could hear like 3 or 4 different languages being spoken around me, and I had no idea what they were talking about, because that's how I was raised. I was always in foreign countries, and I was an English speaker, but other people around me didn't speak English. And so like I love that convergence of culture, and I think that that's a really, really important thing, and I'm glad that that's something that you're around.
Yeah, definitely. But now I'm just mostly at home grinding.
Yeah, I feel you. All right, man.
So
Good to chat. Let's definitely do another
yeah,
video.
it's
This is
been
fun.
a nice chat, Jack. Hopefully we can do some more collaboration in the future. I'm gonna work on my YouTube channel as well, you know, and we're gonna create some awesome content.
Yeah. Yeah, so guys, check out in the video description below. There is a link to subscribe to Ty's. How do I pronounce your name? Ty?
Ty.
Ty. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, to Ty's YouTube channel. And what are your videos? I'm assuming you do videos about e-commerce, but can
Yeah.
you give an example
I'm
of some
gonna-
of the videos that are there so far?
Yeah, so some of the videos I talk about like how I learned to dropship, what suppliers, and some other stuff. How I dealt with my first negative feedback. I'm gonna be also releasing content on Amazon dropshipping, which I'm sure a lot of you guys wanted, and you know, share my journey in Amazon dropshipping as well as eBay. So that's what I'm gonna be creating my channel about, and I might do some other interviews as well because I have a huge network on Facebook, so I can bring all sorts of people from there. And
Yeah, people, I definitely encourage you to do like what we're doing right now. What I found is that like one, average view duration of these videos is much higher than other videos, and YouTube likes that. The videos are longer, so you'll make more money from ad revenue, and you don't really need to, you just need to call somebody and talk. Like, and it's really easy, especially like for me, because I run the YouTube channel and I know about dropshipping. People are used to having to pay a lot of money to have one-on-one time with somebody, but I can do it for free because it allows me to produce content for my YouTube channel, which is incentivizing, right? So it's really a win-win relationship when you do these kind of like Skype recordings. So I really encourage you to do these. It's really good.
yeah, definitely. And we can talk about our YouTube channel and help each other out. in the
Yeah,
future.
always. All right, man. It was great chatting with you. I'll see you
It was
next
great,
time.
man.
Okay?
Thank you for having me on.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
Ciao.
Ciao.